Welcome to the Joy Revival podcast, where faith, neuroscience, and creativity meet. Here, you will find encouragement for your journey, hope for healing, and inspiration to create in freedom. Joy is a sign of a heart that is free, and in Jesus, joy is your inheritance. Hey there, welcome to the show. I am Allie, your host and the coach of the Joy Revival program, and I'm so glad that you're here. This one, I'm getting a little bit vulnerable, but it's okay. I want to share what the Lord had me do before a hard conversation. Here's the thing. Most hard conversations, they're already gone, they're already lost before the first sentence. You have two people that are needing to repair a rupture, and oftentimes, both of those people, their relational circuits, which is a circuitry in the brain that was coined by Dr. Lehman, who is a Christian psychiatrist. Those relational circuits, that's how we relate to people. If they're nice and on and warm, then we relate really well with people. We enjoy people. We like to hear what they have to say. We don't want them to go away. We're really enjoying them. When they're dim or off, we want them to go away. We don't want to talk with them. You can tell in your body when your RCs are on or off. So oftentimes when we are needing to have a conversation in which you're trying to repair rupture, and it comes from communication, sorry, but it does. And this is really personal to me because my husband and I, we were having some problems in our communication, and he was getting frustrated with me. I was getting frustrated with him. I mean, y'all, it's human. We all do this. We've been married 24 years this year. It still happens. But thankfully, we know that there's a lot of things under the hood, so to speak, in our brain that's going on. And so the Lord gave me this little exercise to do before I had this conversation with him. And let me first say this. I asked permission first. Actually, I did it twice. In the car this morning, we were going to church, and I asked him, would he like to try to process this thing that we were going through? Would it be okay to process this together? And he said yes. He would like to do that. Then I asked, would you be willing to try an exercise that I have that I think would be beneficial and helpful before we start processing together? And he said yes. After we did the whole exercise, he kind of like midway of us like talking through the thing, he was like, did you come up with that? And I said, yeah, actually the Lord told me to do it. And he's like, that's really good. I like that. We need to do that every time. And so we are in the trenches, practicing, figuring things out, trying things out for the world. And I'm going to share it with you today. First thing is, the permission is really helpful. When you're having a conversation with someone, you really need, if they don't want to do it, if they don't want to be there, you're wasting your time. Okay. So as much as it depends on you, make peace with your brother, your sister, your husband, your kid, make peace. But if they don't want to, if they're unwilling, you've tried, right? The goal is always to restore connection. The goal is always to repair a rupture. Restoring connection, repairing rupture, that's the thing. So if you think about working out and you go to the gym, you're actually making little micro tears in your muscles when you put tension on your muscles and you lift heavy. And what happens is as they heal, it gets stronger. It's the same with human relationships. You will have ruptures with relationships, but if you have the goal to repair those ruptures, have them heal, restore the connection, your relationship will be stronger. I promise you. Confrontation is the price of intimacy. I have a blog post that I did about kingdom confrontation. I can put it in the show notes where you can see what I wrote about that. And I have a whole teaching on it inside the Joy Bible. So again, the goal is to restore connection and to repair ruptures and to understand that the person that you're talking to is not the enemy. They are not the enemy, okay? It is, according to this book, our fight is not against flesh and blood, but of principalities and powers, right? So it's spiritual things. So you need to be careful to not try, this is called enemy mode. There's a thing that you can get in your brain called enemy mode. So me knowing about relational circuits, me knowing about enemy mode, me knowing how to heal ruptures, these were the things. This was my little exercise that I wanted to present to David, and he really liked it. Okay, so let me tell you step by step what it was. The first thing was that I asked permission if he wanted to process this thing that was going on. He said yes. I asked him if it would be okay if we did the exercise. He said yes. So this was the exercise, step by step. And I started with myself. I said, I really would desire, and I'm hoping for restored connection with you. I'm missing the connection, and I'm sad that we have a rupture here. Would you like to restore the connection with me? And he was like, yes, absolutely. So that was the first thing. Asking the person, are they wanting to have any restored connection? Do they want to have a repair in the rupture? The second thing that I acknowledged, I said, I acknowledge that you are not my enemy. You're not my enemy. I know you're for me. I know you love me. I know you have goodwill for me. Do you acknowledge that I'm not your enemy? And so that got him. He's like, yeah, you're not my enemy. Again, just being like telling our brains the other person is not the enemy. Because we can get in these little modes and we don't realize it, but it's all self-protection, defense mechanism stuff. So that was the second thing. We acknowledged that we were not each other's enemy. The third thing, which really surprised me because I know what it does. Like I know what this does in the brain, but I was surprised by my reaction. The third part of the exercise was that I was going to state 3 things that I appreciate about David to him. And he would share 3 things that he appreciates about me. Gratitude, appreciation is the most studied way to get your relational circuits back on. It's the fastest way that you can get your relational circuits back on. Before I even started, I knew what I was going to say, what I appreciated about him. But before I even started, I started crying. And it was amazing just how like I had this softness and sharing with him what I appreciated about him. And so it's good for my brain, but it's also good for his brain and his relational circuits. So after we did those 3 things, well, technically for asking permission to have the conversation, asking if it was okay to have the exercise, asking him if he wanted to restore the connection and repair the rupture, acknowledging that we were not each other's enemies, and then stating 3 things that we appreciate about each other. Man, that helped us launch into this difficult, it didn't seem difficult anymore, is what I'm trying to say. It wasn't as hard as it was going to be had we not done this little exercise. And so I actually felt so soft. He did the appreciation and we were just like, it was like we could breathe. And then I said, I would love to hear your heart. I would love to hear what you have to say about this issue. And he spoke for a long time. I was actively listening. I'd made intentionality. It's hard for me not to interrupt sometimes. So I made intentionality to not interrupt and to just actively listen to him and made sure he was finished. So sometimes he has longer pauses. I have a weakness of interjecting with a longer pause. So when he was done, I just made sure and asked, thank you so much for sharing. Is that all that you'd like to say? Because I was willing to go however long I needed. But I'm just saying that exercise at the beginning was so helpful. And I think we're going to do it from now on. I mean, I was so grateful to Jesus for giving me that bit of advice this morning before we got in the car. And then after we said everything, we were able to find some resolution. We were able to make commitments to each other in the future should this happen again. And I kind of wrapped it up with a little bow saying, do you feel like there is resolve in this? And do you have peace about it? Because that's like the fruit, right? The fruit of peace. That is what I gauge everything on in my life. Do I feel the shalom of God in my life over the situation, that nothing is broken, nothing is missing? And he's like, yeah, I feel like we've made good commitments to each other. I feel like I have peace in this situation. I did too. And that was that. It was done. I was just so tickled about this. And he was like, wow, you made that up. And I'm like, well, the Lord gave me the idea because I know how our brains work. And I know I want to work with my brain when I am communicating, when I'm relating to my husband and not against it. And so I just thought it just primed. It was like a primer for the thing that needed to take place, but it didn't feel hard after that was the interesting thing. So I'm like, I'm sharing that. And he told me that too. He's like, you should share that. I'm like, okay, well. So I wanted to share it with you today. Again, just as a recap, if you have to have a hard conversation, again, I have that Kingdom Confrontation blog. It's really good. It goes through the blueprint that the Lord gave me in confronting people in a kingdom way. I feel like what needs to be added after acknowledging the discomfort of having brave communication is those things, just like acknowledging that we're not each other's enemy, expressing the desire to repair rupture, to reconnect, and acknowledging that we're not each other's enemy, that we're for each other, not against each other, and then sharing 3 things that we appreciate about the other person. I mean, it sounds so simple, but again, because what I know about the brain, it really helps. So that is what I wanted to share with you today. If you have been avoiding a hard conversation that really should happen, think about this. When you repair a rupture, that gets stronger. The tissue, the muscle, and my muscle analogy, those big old bodybuilders, it's because they have torn down their muscles so much and then it's healed. So in your relationships, if there's a rupture somewhere, the Lord's way is for love to come and heal that. And I believe it's a lot scarier. Our nervous system feels like we're going to die by conversation, but I promise you won't die. A long time ago, I would be the first person to avoid any sort of brave communication, but it's so worth it. You will have such stronger relationships. You will have health for yourself. Just knowing that your nervous system is really enthusiastic about keeping you safe. And so a hard conversation feels like your heart rate is going to go crazy. I felt nauseous one time when I went to go meet somebody after not seeing them over 2 years and having a very hard conversation. And I just named it out loud, the uncomfortability. They were like, "Oh, are you going to eat?" I'm like, "No, I feel sick. Like I'm going to puke." It kind of made us both laugh because that's the reality. We both felt so sick about being there, but we knew it needed to be done. And I'm really grateful that I had that hard conversation also. I've never regretted having a hard conversation. So if you're avoiding something, please consider the Gospels, what Jesus said, that even if you have something against your brother, or if your brother has something against you, I go through this again in my blog. It doesn't matter. He covers it both ways, that we need to be people of love, that they will know us by our love. There are some nuances with this regarding abusive personalities, narcissistic behavior, people like stuff like that. I don't encourage anyone to try to repair those kinds of things because it's kind of irreparable. Those are unreasonable people. But again, just read that blog and that will be super helpful. And try this exercise with somebody, even with your kiddo if you want to. My whole goal for the Joy Revival is to bring a revival of joy. Joy meaning that somebody is happy to be with you, that the Lord is happy to be with you first and foremost, and that you are happy to be with your family and hard stuff. Just as much as the Lord is happy to be with us in the hard, that we are happy to be with other people. That's joy. That is what joy is. Like at its basic definition is someone happy to be with you all the time. And I want that to be revived in every single heart and every family. It brings me so much joy when I hear of moms who are able to do these exercises with their children, and their children, the ceiling of us as parents gets to be the floor for our children, and they get healthier, and generational things are broken because we are really trying to let the Lord intervene in our families. And so that's what I wanted to share today. I hope you all are having a great day, and I will see you next time. Thank you so much for being here with me on the Joy Revival podcast. I'd love for you to subscribe and share this with a friend who needs a little hope for today. And remember, joy is your inheritance, and it's yours to walk in every single day.